Good morning, teachers and friends, and welcome to what we're sure will be our greatest ever back-to-school live event at Microsoft EDU. The only way it could be better is if it were raining candy and unicorns. And then again, we have so much great stuff planned for you today, it practically will be. I'm Adam Shortshorts from Flipgrid, and I'm so honored and excited to have you join us today. We've got a packed schedule, 5 periods from now till 1:45 Pacific. During each period, we will hear from experts, followed by a live Q&A. So be sure to submit your questions throughout each session right here on Facebook. As you can see, we're kicking things off with empowering student voice, choice, and collaboration. After that, just down the hall, we'll talk supporting your inclusive classroom. Then grab your goggles. For period 3, we've got some super cool shark STEM. Then we're stepping into a whole new world, a Minecraft Education Edition period for you won't want to miss. We'll round out the day with advice from experts on how helping your learners boost their test scores and, more importantly, prepare for digital jobs of the future. All right, it's time for class. Let's talk about empowering student voice, choice, and collaboration. After all, that's what Flipgrid is all about. You and your fellow educators around the world make this happen, and we cannot thank you enough. My colleague Jornay Irwin, the @SavvyEducator on Twitter and both in real life, says if you can think it, you can Flipgrid it. Proving this point, every day, hundreds of educators take to Twitter to share the incredible ways they're empowering and amplifying their students with the hashtag FlipGridFever. Let's check out a few examples. Jen Sarnan from Rhode Island brings parents into the grid to exchange math problem-solving tips. Ann Cosma from California created a community-wide grid for book commercials. Bonnie McClellan from New York spearheaded the Digital Pen Pals, or she is dubbed Grid Pals movement. Bronwyn Joyce in Australia created a massive United Nations Sustainable Development Goals grid. It's a mouthful, but it's a wonderful grid. And fellow Australian Martin McGuerin brings his hallways to life with QR codes to video reflections on art projects. We are thrilled to join the Microsoft EDU team and empower educators everywhere to amplify their students with all the features of Flipgrid for free. Yes, you heard right, free, including all the new updates released just 3 days ago at Flipgrid Live. The brand new Grid Launchpad, Vibes, Trimming, Grid Pals the feature, this stuff and more is hot off the press. As we continue to make Flipgrid more powerful, we continue to make it extremely simple and accessible for learners of all abilities and ages, from pre-K to PhD and beyond. I'm so excited to introduce Cheryl McClure, Yousaf Sajid, and Kelly Anderson to share how you can empower and amplify students. Take it away.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Some of the ways that I use Flipgrid. Flipgrid is just awesome. So for students, I'll use for reflections after an assignment. They'll do responding to classmates. They'll talk about an introduction to a presentation. And then one of the things they can do is if they've had a Minecraft tour, they did a project, maybe Mars Biosphere, they can put that YouTube link in Flipgrid. We've used it for parent and school newsletters. We'll do an introductions of ourselves. One of my favorite examples is my students use, they write a proposal for an experiment that would go in a small cube and hopefully get launched in space. We call it Cubes in Space. They'll pitch their idea on Flipgrid. They'll get some feedback on that idea. Afterwards, they'll use their proposal. They'll give an explanation, and then we'll send it to another grade level for grade level cross-grade science class feedback. Now, Adam mentioned something about the Discovery Library, and in Flipgrid, I discovered from another teacher a topic idea that I hadn't thought of, scientific validity. It's something I'm definitely going to use for my students in terms of the beginning of the year. Now, on Flipgrid Live, Flipgrid Fever, which is on Twitter, I met a grid pal. There's a physical science teacher from Kansas. She reached out to me, and I know throughout this year we are going to be chatting and we're going to get our kids connected on Flipgrid. So yeah, cool ideas. Yeah. So. Yousaf, you have a little bit to talk about in terms of Teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Cheryl. I've absolutely loved using Flipgrid, and one of the ways I love using it is using it right within Teams. And so I'm sure you guys have heard, but this summer, Teams celebrated its first anniversary, and we spent the year celebrating how teachers have used Teams to engage in student voice and foster collaboration. Students and teachers from around the world use Teams as their digital hub that brings conversations, content, assignments, apps like Flipgrid all together in one place. And it's so easy to get your team started. And we've actually added 2 new ways to make it even easier for back to school. So let's jump right in and have a little demo. So you'll see that I've logged into Teams app on my web browser after visiting office.com. This is the way I love to start my day. I could also use the desktop app and use Teams across many devices and browsers, and including on mobile. So with back to school starting up, we know that teachers are conducting in-person professional development. New teachers are joining districts right now as schools start up. And so we want to make sure that all of our new educators are added to our school's staff team. So some new ways to do that is, first I'm going to click on the ellipsis of the staff team I want to add them to. And I'm going to go to Manage Team. From there, I'm going to go to Settings. And now you'll see this Team Code feature. And so this code,
That's nice.
yeah, it's just like a
great.
password to easily get into the Teams experience. And you can actually project this in full screen. So if you're having a PD
You can
session.
do that with Flipgrid for students, and
Yes.
they know what the code is to go right into the topic.
Exactly.
So,
It's
great.
really similar to the Flipgrid code. And it just makes it so easy to pass this along, project it in a session, and get people started with the Teams experience.
That's easy. Nice.
Yes. And so what they'll do is they'll take the code and they'll enter it right there, and then voila, you'll jump right into Teams. And so a second way that we're making creating teams a little bit easier is you could actually use an existing team as a template. So this is a perfect way for teachers that are creating new class teams and they want to kind of use
That's
teams from the year before.
Beautiful. So I can take my class that I set up from last year.
Exactly.
And I can use it as, oh, that's beautiful.
Yep, exactly. And so let's say you want to take the class team you spent so much time constructing last year. So you'll go to your class team type. As you see, there's 4 different types of teams you can create in Teams. So you'll name it, you'll give a description, and then you'll click right here to create a team using a template. I'll go to last year's physics class. And then from there, I can copy over all the different things for my new team.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and so it's just a great way to kind of get going fast. You can actually share teams from teacher to teacher. So if I'm a teacher in another teacher's class,
Nice.
I can reuse and have that best practice.
So I could set up a class, even if it wasn't from last year. I could set it up this year, and then I could just use that as a template from all my classes
That's
and
right.
share with my new teacher in the department.
That's right. And it just makes creating teams and getting going so much fast.
Nice.
Yeah, perfect. And so you can copy over many things like channels, tabs, even the members, and apps like Flipgrid. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So speaking of Flipgrid, did you guys know that there's more than one way to use Flipgrid in Teams? So I'm going to show you.
not know that.
Yeah, so let's
Tell
check
me.
it out. We're adding more and more ways, and we just absolutely love it. So transitioning back to school can be a stressful or intimidating time for some students. And there's no better way to make sure your students feel welcomed and comfortable than starting with what we're calling a Flipgrid meet and greet. And so I'm going to show you how we can do that and how you can do that as well for back to school. So I'm here as a teacher logged in my physical science period 1 class. So to get my students excited for the school year, I can click on this plus sign on the tabs bar, and I can add Flipgrid and use it as an app. And as Adam just mentioned, Flipgrid is free for teachers, and you'll be hearing that pretty much everything we're talking about is free
We
for
love
teachers.
free.
So period 1, tune in for that. So after I add the Flipgrid app, I'll fill out the instructions, and then right here in the message, I can direct my students to the activity and give instructions. From there, they can click on the Flipgrid and go directly into this experience. And this is fantastic because I'm able to go right into the Flipgrid, have my students join in right from Teams, and having Flipgrid and Teams helps reduce context switching. It keeps my students focused.
So they're not going out to the web. They're one place.
Exactly, and so they don't have to, understand where to go to or get lost in the web. You can just keep them right in Teams
So
on their device.
I keep my class moving, and I don't lose that instructional time.
Exactly, and we know we want to
Nice.
save time for teaching, and
Right.
so this is a great way to keep students focused. And you'll have all your favorite apps like Class Notebook and more right here in Teams. So I definitely challenge everyone watching to do a Flipgrid meet and greet in their class team this school year to welcome their students, make them feel comfortable, have a fun way to get started. Share your results or any tips that you come upon in the Microsoft Educator Community Forum. So my next question is, wouldn't it be great to share a Flipgrid as part of your homework assignment? And so we know that assignments is something that we spent the year listening to your feedback, and I'm so excited to show you how we supercharge the assignments experience right here in Teams. And so to start off, I can click Create, and now we have 2 options for assignments. So I can either create an assignment from an existing assignment.
Okay.
So similar to using a team as a template, I can go to all these amazing assignments that I created the year before and reuse them again for my different classes. Or I can create a new assignment. So let's go down to assignment that I'm in the middle of creating. So you'll see right here, I have my assignment set, I have the class, I have the title and the instructions. And one of the new things that we're doing is that we know that teachers have a diversity of learning styles and abilities in your classroom. Students are on different levels and they're learning on different pace. And so now to reach each student and to personalize learning with individual assignments. So now I can share specific assignments with one student or with a small group of students. And I can tailor the assignments for the student to meet them at their level.
Personalized learning.
Absolutely.
Nice.
And so next, after individual assignments and I have that set, I can schedule to assign later. And so you can save time, schedule your assignments the week before, the month before, the year before.
Takes somebody really organized.
Yeah,
but yes,
absolutely.
yes, they're big projects. Yeah, would be nice.
Yeah, and just to have all of that done, and it automatically sends an assignment on the date and time you choose.
Nice. I could prep and then have something ready to go Monday or Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Exactly, and use those teacher work days and professional days just to lesson plan and get all your assignments done. And one of the things I want to show you next is how you can add Flipgrid to your assignments. So in this resources, here I have my class collaboration chalkboard notes from OneNote. We're doing a field trip reflection, and I want them to do this reflection as a Flipgrid as opposed to perhaps an essay or another type of presentation. So I can click on Add Resources, and then I can click on Link. I'll input the link of the Flipgrid that I had created, and then voila, right there,
right there.
the Flipgrid is ready to go. You'll schedule this post, and it gets sent right to the students.
So they would see it, I think a student would see it in the conversation, right? And then if they went to their calendar, they would also see the assignment. Is that right? In the assignment section?
Yeah, so when they go to their assignments, they'll see the assignment that you created for the field trip reflection, and they'll see that the task they have to complete is that Flipgrid.
Okay.
Yep, and it shows right there. And similar to how we had in the conversation thread, they don't have to go to a browser, they don't have to log in or type
So
in
they
anything else.
They have multiple ways of being able to see it like we would as a teacher being able to post it.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yep. And one of the new things we can do now to assignments that we're so excited about, so excited to hear your ideas about, is rubric grading. So now I can click on Add New Rubric and design a rubric of my choice, or I could use one of the many rubrics I've already created. So this is sort of like a presentation. I'm gonna click on this presentation rubric so we can see what that looks like. And then you'll see I have all my criteria, 4 criterion on the side that correspond to the assignment. And I could add as many as I would like that make sense for this type of assessment. And then from there, I have 4 levels of understanding on the side that correspond with that criteria. And so I can really make grading very transparent. I can give more actionable and feedback to my students that really helps them learn and grow. And this is just great for project-based learning, essays, things that are just difficult to grade with a number grade or a letter grade.
Right.
So let's quickly take a look at an assignment that's already completed with a rubric, and let's do some speed grading.
Okay.
So
We're ready.
one of the things I'll promise you guys is no more red pen, getting on your clothes, getting on your hands. You can grade right within Teams and get it done really fast. You can even grade on your phone. And so one of the great things I'll start with is let's go to full screen mode, and I'm gonna click on the first student's assignment here on their Oceans assignment. And then from there, I'll have a lot of different ways that I can give feedback. And so one of the things I can do is I can edit right here and give feedback on the document using Office Online. And this could be anything. It could be a PowerPoint, Excel, a Word document. I could highlight and give comments to their essay. I could then give high-level feedback in the comment box so they understand on a top level my way of grading their essay. And then next, I could click on the rubric I assigned, which the students were well aware of, and I can toggle between each of the criterion. So with content, I'll give that a score and I'll assign that a level. and then I'll go to the next criteria and so forth. And so they'll understand exactly how they're graded. And the cool thing is look what happens here. So I'll have the point total. Let me
It
go to
automatically grades, so that your point total goes up as your.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
So Teams does the grading for you. And so you just have to pick and choose. And when you're done, all you have to do is click done, toggle to the next student, and continue. And so it's such a great way to grade and get all of that grading out of the way. And we know that feedback is so important for students. So we're excited to see how rubrics empower students to learn and grow this school year. So one of the things that we know is we have classroom collaboration. We're doing a lot of stuff with our students with assignments, but we know it takes an entire school to nurture a classroom of students. And Teams is customized to help teachers and staff maximize their network and stay connected with one another. So one of the really cool things that we're doing this year to help you with your professional learning communities and to help you have more efficient and powerful meetings is with cloud recording. So now what I can do is in my meetings experience here, I can schedule a meeting, I can have a video meeting link and put that in there, fill out all these details. And so I have a meeting scheduled right now as a physics teacher with a physics expert. And I wanted to make sure I recorded my interview with this physics expert so I can share that with all my other teachers during PD or what have you. And so now I can share this meeting and I'll click right here. And this is the meeting I've already had, and then it records right in Teams. It drops the recording immediately in the conversation thread. I can add closed captioning, and I can share this with my physics teachers so they can learn and develop on their lesson plans. And this is a great example. If you were having PD and there were teachers who were absent, you could record that meeting and have that institutional
Or if we
memory.
were cross-district, if I'm working with the middle school science team across the district, we could all meet and share that recording and have a conversation. That is beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's great to have that professional development. Again, you could be having meetings with people at your school, cross-district, people with other teams.
Right.
And so it's a great way to have that in one place and records it with you, for you. So Teams is a part of Office 365, which is free for teachers and students. If you don't have Office, head to office.com/education to get your free version of Office 365. And if you already have Office 365, go to aka.ms/Microsoft Teams edu to learn more and get started with Teams. So we heard from Cheryl about Flipgrid, and it's such an incredible tool for enabling student voice. And I love how Microsoft Teams can help drive collaboration with your class or your district or across district.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to wanting to expand that spirit of collaboration and involve students or guest speakers who are outside your school or just around the world, that's where Skype in the Classroom comes in. And I'm so excited here to have Kelly Anderson talk more about Skype in the Classroom.
Thank you, Yousaf. So hi, everyone. Skype in the Classroom is a global community that offers thousands of live learning activities for your students. It brings together hundreds of thousands of students, teachers, and experts from 90 countries around the world
Wow.
for learning adventures via Skype. Whether you want to connect with a class in another country, or talk to a computer scientist for a career day, or go on a virtual field trip to a museum in Egypt, all of this can be done entirely for free and without any buses involved. That's the nice part.
That's, yes.
That's
Talk about
bigger,
saving time, right?
It's bigger than it sounds, yes. Skype activities are complementing and extending the topics that you're already teaching in the classroom. Literacy, science, history, geography, and much more. And in addition to helping excite kids about what they're already learning, Skype activities are also wonderful for developing social and emotional learning skills, such as empathy and compassion for each other and for our planet, which is such an important
Because they would have a chance to go somewhere that we really are not feasible to
Exactly,
be able to
exposing
do. But they
kids to
can see-
new ideas, to different cultures that they may never have heard of even before. So Skype in the Classroom gives kids that access to different perspectives and lets them experience new ideas. So let's take a look at that.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, wonderfully.
think Skype is the ultimate field trip where you are actually able to travel to the other side of the world without ever leaving your classroom.
We can Skype with California today, we can Skype with Brazil tomorrow, and Skype in the classroom allows us to do that.
This is live learning. This is not something we would get in a textbook or in any kind of newspaper article.
Do you think that the U.S. presence is helping with the elections?
Having Skype in the classroom just allows me to see a different type of viewpoint that wouldn't be accessible otherwise.
When I look at poverty alleviation, the biggest kind of need and opportunity is just to get all kids, and especially girls, in school.
Hi, Ben.
We sponsor an orphan in Uganda. His name's Ben, and we pay for his school fees, his food. It feels really good that you've helped somebody with their life.
You can start to teach the kids right from the beginning. They can grow knowing how to conserve the nation. We came up with root harvesting, but they can harvest rainwater during the rain season.
That's cool.
The goal is to empower students to play a part in solving some of the world's problems. And Skype makes global learning possible in a way that we cannot replicate.
Wow, there are people out there who really want to better the world and are working for it. We can actually do something.
As educators, we're constantly trying to find tools for them to engage them, excite them, and make those connections to the outside world.
It inspires us that we're really young, but we're making a difference in the world.
Yeah!
The more that we can foster connections, relationships, interactions with those outside of their own natural comfort zone, they'll be better global citizens.
I am beyond excited about the opportunities offered through Skype in the classroom. And I'm hearing some of you ask if we can do this every Friday.
So that gives you a sense for the impact that live learning can have in your classroom. Now let me show you just how easy it is to get started and find the perfect Skype activity for your class. So first, you open your browser and just search for skypeintheclassroom.com. It only takes a minute to get started as a free member of the community. Here, I'm signed in as you, Yousaf, so thank you for letting me borrow your profile. Exactly. And then you can start exploring our homepage by searching for a lesson that's relevant to what you're teaching. So we were just talking about collaborations today, right? And if you're looking for projects to share with other classes around the world and do collaborations together, you can find them here in the collaboration area. Each collaboration is unique because it's defined by the teachers that are hosting them. So there's no two collaborations that are the same. And for instance, if your class was studying Spanish and wanted to connect with native Spanish speakers in another country for a shared project, that would be a great collaboration that you could start, or that you could jump in and join. So here's a brand new collaboration that's called the Cultural Coding Exchange, and this is from a fourth grade teacher, Todd Flory. And what I love about this collaboration is that it helps classes get familiar with coding, but with a cultural twist to it. So each classroom that participates is learning some basic coding skills while working on projects related to their own country and heritage, and then sharing them with others through Skype. So it's global citizenship and 21st century skills all wrapped up into one.
So it's changing the students' audience. They're learning a skill, but they're also communicating with somebody else in a different culture, picking up new ideas.
There's so many different skills that it wraps up into one. And really, you can define it in any way that the group decides.
Right. Yeah. I can imagine my students just going, whoa, like in a good way.
Yeah. And if you don't find the kind of collaboration that you're looking for, you can start your own. So really, they can be about any topic that you're studying.
Oh, the idea is, wow, endless.
And it is. Yeah, it's an exploding area of our community. It's a really exciting one.
Wow.
Lets teachers drive whatever projects they want to put out there in the world.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah. So these kinds of activities are so valuable because they help cultivate communication and problem-solving skills, like we just said, and talk to students from varying cultures and backgrounds. And what's wonderful about our community is that any educator, like this fourth grade teacher, can put out a collaboration into the community and see who wants to join with them.
Right. And it wouldn't have to be just a fourth grade. Although they're a fourth grade class, I could have my seventh graders communicate, or I could even have my 10th graders be able to understand how to talk with a younger audience and vice versa.
Oh, absolutely. We've even seen collaborations between elementary and secondary school kids where they're both working on specific projects and kind of sharing back and forth with each other, and they're taking different things away from that collaboration.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah. So while connecting with classrooms can provide new and interesting perspectives, you can also connect with guest speakers who are subject matter experts. And there are thousands of guest speakers in the community to invite into your classroom. So there's scientists, authors, psychologists, documentary filmmakers, you name it, really.
We had my 6th grade class a couple years ago. We actually talked with a microbiologist. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, my kids were just like, because it was so real. She was talking to them and answering their questions. It was really nice.
And students feel heard by this expert. They can ask whatever questions they have on their mind, and it aligns to what you're teaching in the classroom. It's not usually out of the blue, right? It's their chance for them to question the expert and get answers. So it's really exciting. We have a partnership with Skype a Scientist, for example, that has 1,700 different kinds of scientists available to Skype with your class. So if it can get very granular if you're looking for a molecular biologist, for example.
So a biology class, a high school biology class, could look for a scientist, the molecular biologist, or even a humanities. They could talk with maybe an author or.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Exactly.
So
literacy.
subjects.
There's so many subjects. It's really, it's endless, and I think it's a great one for careers as well. So literacy is another very popular area, as you mentioned. And so we have an incredible community here of hundreds of authors, illustrators, and storytellers who are willing to Skype with your class and talk about their books and what they do. And so here's one from Peter Raimundo, and he's the author and illustrator of the 3rd grade mermaid books, and he's also a former Disney animator, so that's got a very interesting story. What you can see right here is that there are learning objectives right up front so that you know what to expect on the day that you connect over Skype, so the teacher can prepare. And so we know that Peter is going to be talking about publishing, creative storytelling, and what it's like to be an author. And once you've read this and know that this is the activity that you want to schedule, you can just hit this request a Skype lesson button, and you'll see that his schedule comes up, so I can choose a time that works for my class, and I can include a little message if I want to, and about what we're studying.
So if I'm a brand new teacher, this is pretty easy for me. I don't have to worry about time zones. I can just, I know exactly what they would be able to contribute, and I know how to prepare my kids because it's all. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes. And I think, and actually, you hit on it right here. In preparing your kids, we now have new activity plans that align to the different collections that we have in the community. So these, especially I think for new teachers, can give them an easier way in the door. So here are some learning objectives when we talk to an author, for example. Here are some of the things that you might want to do in advance, the ISTE standards that it aligns to, sort of before the activity, during, and afterwards, and sort of sample scripts and questions that your students might want to ask so that you can prepare them, and we sort of break it into younger and older students.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, exactly. So brainstorming, and then post activities, right? How to assess it, how to follow up on it afterwards. And so virtual field trips are another way to talk to experts from around the world. And these are incredibly popular, as you can imagine, and I know you've gone on some as well. And you can do these amazing learning adventures without leaving your classroom, and it helps broaden out for places that you probably don't have physical access to.
We talked to Yellowstone rangers, and we were learning about volcanoes, but we also learned about the ecosystem.
Exactly. There's a lot of science to be had in Yellowstone.
And my kids were just
I'm actually leaving for Yellowstone in a week. I'm so excited.
It was amazing. Yeah. Good experience.
So this is just a small sampling of what we have available, but can you imagine going to learn about lemurs or ancient
That would be so fun.
I know, animal ones are very, very popular. Sloths in Costa Rica, you name it.
Oh, wow.
And then we can also do history or learn about ancient civilizations. As we said, we have museums all over the world. We work with the Ministry of Antiquities in Egypt for some amazing.
You could go on museum tours.
Oh, absolutely, yes. So there's all kinds of field trips that are available. And I think that even if you know what you're looking for, it's also nice to just browse what's available, because there's probably more than you can ever even imagine. And so one of these field trips that's very popular is to Point Lobo State Natural Reserve in California State Parks. And so I've asked Ranger Daniel, who is a good friend of ours over at California State Parks, to record a little behind-the-scenes peek for you. And this is what students actually are seeing and learning during one of their popular Skype field trips. So let's see what Ranger Daniel has to show us.
Thanks, Kelly, and hello to all the educators joining us today. My name is Ranger Daniel, and I'm here at Point Lobos State Natural Reserve, one of California's state parks. I'm always proud to show off the patch. Many of our California state parks connect with classes from around the world through Skype in the classroom, teaching everything from history, art, architecture, and immigration, to programs that focus on animals like elephant seals, monarch butterflies, and coho salmon. Our programs can take you to the redwood forest, the tide pools, and the desert. I'd like to start my Skype field trips out by showing students around and letting them know a little bit about what to expect on this virtual field trip. And then we start to explore. We can take a moment to scan the scene to look for wildlife. Or virtually climb this Monterey cypress tree. Or even take an up-close look at the scapula of a humpback whale. Or an up-close look at the giant brown kelp blade. And when weather conditions permit, I will take the students out on the kelp kayak to show them the kelp forest from its canopy floating on top of the Pacific Ocean. And that's when you never know what you might see. Remember to keep your eyes on the water. Oh, did you see that, students? A harbor seal. Wow. Some aha moments from students that really stand out is when they get to see some nature action live and they realize that this is happening now and is not a documentary. That's a powerful moment. During each program, there's a time for student questions, and this is often my most favorite time of the program. And I hear questions that range from basic to more complex, like what my favorite animal is and why, to the universal curiosity about sharks, to wanting to know more specifically about a life cycle of an animal that we came across. And a lot of times, kids will also want to know what they can do to make sure that places like this always exist. And we find that teachers appreciate seeing their students fully engaged in a high-quality program that kind of busts the four walls of the classroom and presents students into a world that they may not know anything about. And I think that teachers also appreciate how easy it is to plug these programs into the curriculum that they're studying in their classroom. And all these programs are always live, interactive, and standards-based. So teachers, you can have a field trip without worrying about bus schedules or permission slips, and have it come right into your classroom. And so that gives you a little bit of flavor of what California State Parks is doing with Skype in the classroom and connecting students from all over the world to these treasures that we have. So, thank you. My name again is Ranger Daniel at Point Lobos State Natural Reserve, one of these fantastic California state parks. And we hope to see your students in our parks this school year. Bye.
Wow, that was amazing. Can you imagine taking your students on an adventure like that? I loved it when the little seal popped up on the kayak.
Just being able to see the kelp up close.
I know.
It was real.
Oh yeah, it is. And you would be surprised at the places that you can Skype to. Aquarius Lab in the Florida Keys, 60 feet underwater. We have Wind Cave National Park, which is another national park that has, you can go inside the first chamber of the cave. It's pretty incredible.
So it really doesn't matter depending on your ability, because you're not, this is free, and you could go anywhere.
Yes. Wow. It is pretty amazing. So Ranger Daniel is a great example of one of the experts that you can invite into your classroom to make learning relevant and really fun. Yep. And speaking of fun, we know that teachers and students love sharing these impactful moments with their families or classrooms, or even with students if they might have missed class that day. And we see you tweeting all these kinds of amazing experiences, so thank you for that. There are some new features rolling out in Skype that make this super easy. So let's take a look here on my computer. So in the next version of Skype that's rolling out now, there's a new snapshot feature. And so if you are in a call with someone and you want to take a picture, you just go to this new button right here, and you can take a picture of both sides, and it will just show up in the chat window for both of you.
So we could actually share that with students. We could share it like in a newsletter. Here's where we went today.
Exactly.
Ideas.
Here's that harbor seal popping up if you're fast enough to catch it. And then there's also a gallery. So if you click on the gallery up in your window, you'll be able to easily, and this is when you're in a video call or if you're just chatting with the guest speaker or with another class, you can easily find and get back to those documents and links and images that you might have shared. So a lesson plan that the guest speaker may have shared with you through the Skype chat, or a link as we have here. And so it's easy to get back and find it. And you can filter for specific kinds of media as well.
Right. Oh, nice.
And then recording has been a big topic today.
Absolutely.
So we're excited to say that the new version of Skype rolling out has video recording built into it. So
that just gives me an idea. So since I teach 3 7th grade science classes, if I couldn't schedule that second period, I could record, and my second period doesn't miss out.
That's right.
Because we can have the recording. Oh,
so
beautiful.
All you have to do is click on this plus button when you're in a call, and you have the option to start recording. It has notification on both sides. There's a little blue line that lights up on the other side. And then when you're done recording, it goes into the chat window for both sides to have that recording. So if you choose to share it with a parent or another student or another class, then you have it right there for you.
Right. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So along with all of the live lessons that you can pick from that we've been talking about, we also host some very special events throughout the year to celebrate the value and impact that these global connections can have. And the largest of these is our annual Microsoft Skype-a-thon, which is coming up on November 6th and 7th this year, so be sure to mark your calendar. It's really an amazing event. So this 2-day event encourages classrooms around the world to travel as many virtual miles as possible in a 48-hour period. I know that, Cheryl, your classes did this last year as well.
My students talked to students in India. It was early in the morning for them. My students were just kind of like, whoa, understanding how far we traveled or they traveled. But it was really nice. Yeah.
We have classes that sometimes camp out overnight so that they can reach different continents. We know that our penguin researcher in Antarctica is getting, tons of requests during this time because everyone wants to hit Antarctica during their Skype-a-thon and really stamp their global passport as they're making their way around the world. And so it's students are sharing a glimpse into their culture and their community. It's really a peek into another culture. And so it's a celebration of the hearts and minds of the next generation of global citizens, and really a beautiful experience to be a part of. So to find out more about that, you can visit skypeathon.com. And on behalf of all of the participating educators and partners with Skype in the Classroom, I'd like to thank all of you in advance for opening the walls of your classroom, as we know you will this year. And we want to hear about all these great Skype experiences that you're having, so please be sure to tweet us at Skype Classroom and tell us how you're planning to open the hearts and minds of your students this year through global learning adventures.
Awesome.
So thank you for joining all of us for first period today.
Wow, thank you so much, Cheryl, Yousaf, and Kelly. That was awesome. So cool to learn about all these tools. We have some wonderful questions coming in, so we'll just jump right in. First and foremost, how has the use of Teams or Flipgrid or Skype in the Classroom, really all of these tools, impacted students who are traditionally less likely to speak up?
They talk. I mean, I've had students that they're just really, really quiet, and when we've done something with Flipgrid, they have something to say, and so they talk.
That is
and so
awesome
it's really nice.
Cool.
Yeah. And even with Skype in the Classroom, we hear this a lot, that kids that are reluctant to speak up in class somehow are empowered when they are able to talk to an expert over Skype, or even do a high five with someone on Mount Everest. It just really gives them a sense of empowerment.
Yeah. And we see with students on Teams and project-based learning, those introverted students can brainstorm and collaborate and kind of share their ideas, so they don't have to be the first one speaking up. They could take time to think and then express what they want in that conversation thread and be heard.
My bio students were sharing data on a lab, and they just did it all in Teams. And then we had a few little, the emoticons jumping around. That was fun.
No gifs and the emojis. This is a great way to communicate.
Wonderful, wonderful. Let's talk technology. What kind of technology do you need to participate in Skype in the Classroom specifically?
Really, not much. I mean, Skype is freely available, of course, and you need a laptop or a device of some sort sort. So it can be a tablet or phone even. We have, in Egypt, we have some places that are doing it just off their phone. So it doesn't have to be much. Of course, a smart board is always nice so that you have a bigger screen, but we work with schools in Africa that might be just gathered around a laptop communicating with you. So it doesn't really take a lot to get started.
That's wonderful, wonderful. Cheryl, for you, and I can help answer this if you'd like, but I'll let you take it. What would you recommend for a new teacher to Flipgrid? Where should they go? How do they get started?
Wow, just go to Flipgrid. There's the Discovery, yes, there's the Discovery Library. There is now Grid Pals. There is, and you just get started. You actually give it to your students because they'll be tentative at first, but once they get going, you'll see how easy it is.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you. And then a question for you, Kelly from Scott B. For teachers who are maybe a little bit nervous to try new technology in the classroom, what would you recommend for introducing Skype in the classroom? And I think this actually applies. Let's answer for all the tools.
Yeah, I think two things. Virtual field trips are a really easy way in, I think, because you're usually dealing with you're using with a museum or a zoo or these national parks that do this all the time. So they can kind of help guide you, make it easier for you. And I think also if you go to skypeintheclassroom.com in our Getting Started area, there are Skype mentors. So these are experienced teachers that use Skype in their classroom all the time, and they can help mentor you and give real-world scenarios of how to get it into your classroom.
You know, the other thing, there is a really big teacher community on Twitter. And when you talk about some of the mentor teachers, you just reach out. They're amazing.
Yeah, wonderful. I couldn't agree more. A question here, let's see. How have you seen Flipgrid used successfully at the university level? You're not a university teacher, but I would just plug right here. If you look at the hashtag, once again, Flipgrid Fever, and look for the university level, Kimber OU, Jillian Hartman, my apologies there, and Ramesh Lingani are three that come to mind that are wonderful examples. An interesting little snippet is that Flipgrid was actually developed at the university level for PhD students and just kind of has grown, like I mentioned earlier, down to pre-IQ and beyond. Yeah, Dr. Charles Miller from the University of Minnesota. So very appropriate for university level. Yeah. Let's see. I think that's actually about it. That is all the questions we have for you all. Once again, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for your wonderful advice and insights. Stick around, everyone. We have more sessions coming at the top of the hour at 10 a.m. sharp. We have Starting Your Inclusive Classroom with Shaylin, Stephen, and Mike. You won't want to miss it. We'll see you there.
Everyone has a voice, and I believe everyone deserves to be heard.
Hi, how are you?
The way I teach needs to take into consideration everyone's needs in my class, including Kabir's. Having a diverse set of students in my class makes it a wonderful experience. The very first time I introduced Teams in my class was really a special moment. I stood back at that moment and my eyes were fixated on Kabir because I knew that this would have an impact on teaching and learning, especially with Kabir.
Kabir is really patient, he's focused. I would describe him as very smart.
Whenever I need help, I just write his name, Kabir, and then I just ask him a question and then he just answers back.
Everyone has a voice, and Teams has made it easier to communicate. He can have his voice heard and he can contribute to the class. I mean, it's probably the two best things in life, learning and diversity. It's what makes this world, wonderful, isn't it?
There is a feeling of being valued and understood as an educator.
My vision of education is us learning together.
It's the idea that each day we come, whether you're in the nicest place or the hardest place.
My students benefit from whatever I learn on the global platform. We are able to break the barrier of cultural differences, of language differences, and we are able to reach out to each and everyone out there.
It's super important to bring in the world into our classroom and for us to come out in the world. And there are so many different ways we can do that.
The Microsoft Educator community has really helped to get all of the teachers on board for a common goal.
The MIE program gets you out of your comfort zone.
Every day is a day of learning for me.
We've been friends for long. And finally today I got to meet you face to face. That's right. This is magic.
I hope my students walk away from my classroom being citizens of the world. If you just have devotion, passion, and a bit of creativity.
Come on!
At the end of the day, it is about engagement.
I mean, there are endless possibilities.